Hello everyone, this is Christina, the digital creator of the YouTube channel Adventures with Blackjack the Press Up. So usually I like to make little cute or funny shorts of Blackjack. He's the star, but right now our content is limited due to his recovery of his TPLO surgery. So today I'm going to talk about updates, and then I'm going to talk about expenses of a TPLO surgery. So today is officially day 15 post-surgery. Blackjack so far is progressing nicely. He is using that surgical limb. When he is walking, at most of the time we can barely see a limp, and he is starting to put the paw down of that surgical limb flat, which is a good sign. 2 days ago he ended up going for a post-op visit. There's two that are required. One is like after the 2-week mark or third week post-op, and then the other one's at the 6-week mark. So Blackjack received sutures and staples at his incision site. So Wednesday was the day for them to remove his staples. Surprisingly to my husband and I, they did not need to sedate him. And that in itself was an ordeal. We were all very exhausted because my boy was very, very excited. This is the first time since the surgery that he was leaving the house and going into the truck. He loves riding in the truck, so he associated that with a good thing of like going on an outing. But keeping him calm and not too excited was interesting. I think that was a little bit of a fail. We probably should have given him a little bit of his sedative, because prior to these visits, sometimes dogs need to be sedated, so he had to fast for about 6 to 8 hours. And since his second meal kind of fell during the appointment time, we were advised either to withhold the medication or we could have given it to him an hour prior. So in hindsight, maybe giving him the slight sedative, though I'll be honest with you, the adrenaline was so high in this dog that I don't think it would have made much of a difference. Hence, when they brought him back to us, this kind of made me laugh. They needed 3 vet techs to walk him on each side. He wasn't naughty, just very excited and wanting to pull. I know putting him into the truck or just getting the ramp set up, he like jumped vertically like a kangaroo. I think he got like 3 to 5 inches off the air, which, you know, with this kind of surgery, there's no excessive walking except to do eliminations. No walking on slippery surfaces, no running, no playing, no wrestling, sometimes not even chewing toys if a dog gets overly excited. So that kind of was not a good point. Was not expected that he was going to do that. But luckily there was no damage done. So on that end, he's doing very well. Didn't seem to bother him to have his staples removed. We were warned that within a day or two we might see him, you know, act like he's a little bit in discomfort because of soreness, but he was walking on that limb. He did like hold it up a little bit initially when he came out from that visit, but by the evening he was just walking like it's normal. He still has to do an assisted walk with the sling. That's gonna happen for the next 6 weeks. Well, we're gonna approach next week the 3rd week, so 3 more weeks, unless we go to that visit where they will x-ray and give a more thorough exam to see if, like, you know, if he needs to continue with the supported walk with the sling. And hopefully we can go into the rehab part of this process. So I'm going to talk a little bit about expenses. So if you have to go through this, they generally will give you a consultation and exam, and that is will run you anywhere between $1,000 to $1,200. For us, ended up being $1,129.31. Like I said, we had pet insurance prior to this, and they cover about 90% of this. So we were responsible for 10%. So we almost paid like $300 just for the consultation. Unfortunately, I don't know where my paperwork is for the actual exam. And mind you, Blackjack is 2.5 years old, so he's still very young. So we were quoted $4,300 for the actual surgery, which included all medications, which his medication, I'll get into that in a little bit. It's a little bit different from maybe other dogs who are experiencing or have experienced the TPO surgery, and the 2 follow-up visits. So we were given an estimate of $4,300. However, if there are complications or additional needs medically, that will go up, which our dog has a very sensitive GI. So before the surgery or during the surgery, they kind of discussed this, and they had to give him basically like a liquid version of like Pepcid AC, which is what we give him, because he will do like hunger hacks on an empty stomach where he just kind of vomits bile. Doesn't do it all the time, and doing Pepcid AC with him has minimized that greatly. So that ended up costing us over $4,500. Again, with pet insurance, they covered about 90% of it. And then I believe we end up paying over $200, I want to say. My math could be off. It's not my strong suit. But what they don't tell you is the outside expenses, because though they give you the surgical part and they give you a lot of information, it's almost like information overload. And they do provide support using the app where you have a chat in there and you can upload videos and you can upload pictures. As a matter of fact, you have to do an everyday check with this, and they will require you to fill out a recheck, which is a Google document where they ask consistently questions about how's your dog's appetite, are you using the cone, how is your dog's activity, are they comfortable, are they showing discomfort, are they showing anxiety, and then looking at the surgical site of how it looks, and then medications, because eventually you wean them off of certain medications. Right now, currently, Blackjack is on his gabapentin, which is pain management, and he's on anxiety meds. There's 2. There's trazodone, and there's another one that starts with an A. It's a small pill. It's very potent. So that's, when we talk about routine, that's what's been a little bit tricky with him. Some outside expenditures are like the e-collar, the cone. Because even though, yes, you need to make sure your pet has gone through this big, extensive surgery, and it does impact all of you in the family, you want your pet to be comfortable. And this was something we didn't think of practicing with Blackjack and trying to make it a positive thing, practicing wearing the cone. The first day or 2, he was not very happy with the cone, but I'm not going to say he loves the cone, but he has gotten used to it. But we end up, I think in a previous video, I had showed you the Kong version of an inflatable e-collar, but the concern was that his head and neck, he's got a neck like a linebacker, very massive. And with everything, the first 5 days was horrific for all of us, and we didn't want to add to the stress. And he seemed to be adjusting to the e-collar. The only thing with the e-collar, because his head is so big, we have to take it apart completely, and that can be kind of interesting. So my husband ended up ordering this thing, which is an e-collar, but it has Velcro, And the problem with the Velcro is, I don't know if this is a Presa Canario slash Guardian breed, or if this is just a blackjack thing, or it's both. But he's just very leery and just curious and, you know, inquisitive about everything that's new. And the Velcro, it has like a long, thick strip of Velcro to secure it, but it's very loud. So we ended up just leaving the e-collar. Again, you have to know your pet. So that was what the vet recommended. And they end up being right in this situation. But we still have this. There's some things we've bought and like return, and some things we've just said, okay, because of time constraints. It's like, you know, we're just going to keep it. One thing I wish I would have bought prior to his surgery is these slings. Now, I guess it depends on your vet and location, because some vets will not tell you to do this. I don't know if it's because of Blackjack's size. He was 130 pounds. He's lost a little bit of weight because of medications. But this is what we use to help support him. And when he walks, the supported walks, and you put it in the back hind parts, and you don't lift him up, but you just kind of give support. So reason being having multiple ones is because my dog is a male, and so his stance is very different now. Now we kind of can read when he has to urinate. So there's been many a times where he's urinated. We just are not fast enough to kind of slide this down. So if you have one and you have to wash it, that was me the first day. I had to wash the span, the sling, like 3 or 4 times. That's not good. So having more than one. We also purchased this one here, which I think I have this upside down. You kind of just like slide on their back ends. And again, it's like a support harness. Maybe when he goes into the rehab part, maybe we'll use that. It just seemed like it was too much, because right now it takes 2 of us to get him out of the crate, and even doing the supported walk, because especially at night, I'm there with the flashlight, shining it a path, making sure there's no obstructions. Sometimes, like, Blackjack loves to pee on trees. It's like one of his favorite things to do. And, you know, he wants to use that surgical leg. And right now, you know, the whole lifting it, the bending it, it's just kind of like we have to, his activity is so restricted. I have to block and go, nope, you know, we can't pee on trees yet. When you're healed up, I'll let you pee on every tree you see. So that's one thing. Another thing is a thermometer. This is under the shoulder, because there's no way I'm going to stick it in the other end. That's not happening. So they tell you in the beginning, sometimes they'll send you home with antibiotics, and sometimes they won't. They sent him home with antibiotics for like 3 days worth. So if your pet's running a fever, I mean, their temperatures run higher than us. So how are you going to know? We didn't have one of these. So it's, even though we haven't used it, he was good. He's off his antibiotic. He has been off of it since 2 weeks ago. It's just good to have. The other thing, a friend of mine online who has a Presa, we say her dog is Blackjack's older brother, because it's the same breeder, and he looks just like Blackjack. It's just a little bit smaller. She had suggested a surgical sleeve, because she did pajamas with her boy Ty, and because he hated the cone. So she suggested using this. She didn't know about this. This is a surgical sleeve that you would slip on the leg and tie. We've not used this because initially he was very swollen. It was almost very alarming to see how swollen and bruised he was, but it went down and the bruising ran away like within days. Haven't used this yet. Little bit worried because even though this is an extra large, Blackjack has like a huge ham hock leg. So I'm not even sure if this will fit on him. And I don't want to wrestle him to put this on. Neither does my husband. And also the other thing is don't want him biting at it. Right now, when we do, he gets time out of the crate, very, very supervised on a very tight leash. Uh, we take the cone off as like a break, and he is able to chew bones, not like we buy Bones, like his toys that he knows are like a licking mat or the bone shaped Kong. He liked that to try to like give him some relief because, he's staying in that crate for a very long time. And I hate that. And I know he hates that, but we have no choice because, again, he went through such an extensive surgery, and this healing process and recovery is quite extensive. It really will take 4 months. We're hoping very soon, next week, the scabs will heal from the staples, and then we can at least take the cone off, but he has to not mess with that surgical site. So that's where this sleeve may come into play. Which this whole process, I have been just staying home. I'm on summer vacation. Um, I have left the house maybe 3 times, and it has been under like half an hour at the most, just because making sure he's calm. So that's something to know. Even if you have, I recommend always getting pet insurance, or coming up with some savings if you decide to get a dog, because you just never know. If we did not have this insurance, we would have not been able to afford this at all. And even now, with the outside expenditures and covering the 10%, I mean, it has impacted our budget. So because we, at one point, like the first week, we had, I think, Amazon delivering like at least a minimum of 3 times a day of things we were like, okay, we need this, we need this. So that's just a heads up, FYI. I'm very thankful for the pet insurance we had and that they approved the claim. So that's that portion. The second portion is routines. The hardest part of this is establishing a routine, and I can't blame the vet. They give you the surgical side of what you need to do, but the routine falls on you because you have to know what works with your dog. One of the hardest things for us was establishing a routine. Though the physical side, Blackjack, is progressing so beautifully, it's the medication portion. He couldn't do any anti-inflammatories because of his GI, so no NSAIDs. It's strictly pain management and then anxiety meds. But all of those things have a side effect of loss of appetite and appetence, which he is suffering from. He needs a lot of coaxing. So, and also of using the sedative, as we found out the first week, if you give too much sedative, that's not what you want. You don't want the dog completely passed out. You want the dog to just be calm, be chill. And when you're taking the dog out, the dog is doing it not explosive. So that has been interesting because my husband will tweak it by a fraction, like an eighth of a pill. And one day it will work. And then the next 12 hours or even next day, it seems like that amount is not enough or too much. So that's been the tricky part of this whole process. And just, it seems like he gets bored with his toys. We Amazon toys for him, and try to give him a new toy and alternate. And some days he is just not feeling it. And he will try to army crawl. I don't know where he's going, but just kind of like, I guess he's tired of his recovery area, which is the den, the family room. So I try not to laugh at that because, he has to stay. He has to, we want him out for a minimum of an hour, to hopefully a little bit longer because of such the extensive period he stays in the crate. But if he's trying to pop up, that's defeating the purpose of him staying calm. So then we take him out to go to the bathroom, and then he goes back in his crate. So it all kind of varies. So that's the challenging part, is the medication portion of getting it right, of keeping him calm and not too calm. And if he is too sedated, that does impact like the walk. Not only does it impact the appetite, but it also impacts his walk. We noticed there was like inconsistencies earlier in the second week. where some, even within 12 hours, he would walk better. And then the next time we would take him out and say, okay, he's hopping a little bit on those back legs, or he's holding his foot up. And the vet explained, the tech, Trisha, who's been wonderful in this whole process, explained that when they are too sedated, they feel kind of unstable. They'll be more wobbly and uncertain to use that leg. So again, kind of fine tuning. It's like Goldilocks. And with him, it's been a little bit hard. Is it too much? Is it just right? Is it not enough? But it has been going a little bit better than week 1. I've been told week 2 is better, and then week 3 is like from on is smooth sailing. My concerns, again, is keeping him calm as he feels better. He wants to do things that he just can't do. I see him looking at the couch. He used to have free access to the couch, and he's not going to be able to do that until, I think, October, which would put him at the 4-month mark. And, that has been the challenge. And, he wants something new to entertain him. And again, we cannot, I can't even imagine our budget right now. We've totally blown our budget of our monthly expenditures, but can't afford to buy him a new toy every day. And we've done like Benebone on Amazon had a good deal of 4 bones for like, I want to say 27 or 32. I don't know. Whatever it was way cheaper if you calculate, like divide it by the 4 toys. If you go to Care-a-Lot, I believe Care-a-Lot over here in our area, it's the only place that sells it. And we bought like, I think 3 of those gift packs, and would just rotate one a day like that. And I have his little basket out by the fireplace on the hearth, and he kind of, when he's going in for the night, he likes to just stop and stick his head in there. I don't know, I don't know, maybe saying goodnight to his toys. But again, and then like the licking mats worked really well. And then there's a couple times where he's just not feeling the licking mats, and he's just like, I'm over it. So that's the part in transporting him for the visits. 'Cause I literally almost cried when he jumped. I thought, oh my God, we just negated everything. You're not supposed to do that. But Trisha, again, like reassured me. She's like, no, if he had hurt himself, he would have immediately let you know. So thank God he did not. But it took all of my energy and strength, like physical and mental strength, to just like not make him fly, up into the truck using the ramp. And same thing, like getting the ramp set up when we arrived at the vet's office, of like, no, you cannot just Superman it off out of the truck. So but yeah, hopefully, I'm sorry you guys are just looking at me, but I'm hoping to get maybe a little bit more content with him, showing his progression. But as of now, I just wanted to do a more lengthy one, just kind of updating everybody about his progress. So far so good, except for fine-tuning the meds for anxiety and having consistency for his appetite, because he has lost just a little bit of weight. So I'm hoping that we can kind of minimize that. All right, until next time, guys, have a good one. Bye.